All right. We're going to jump into our three pack. I love talking everything and all things
Real estate.
marketing. So, well,
Oh,
real estate
marketing.
as
Oh, I thought you were
well.
going to real estate.
But, we all market ourselves through a lot of different mediums, whether, we have a website where we're doing blogs, neighborhood flyers, things like that, especially we're all over social media. And for me, also, I think when you're talking about marketing and you're talking about your message, it's also your real estate conversations because to me, that's my biggest market. My mouth is actually my biggest marketing tool. Go for it, buddy.
No, I'm not
Ooh,
going
that was
to.
a
We're
tee
gonna
up.
we're gonna continue to move forward amicably and as an adult and
I'm
professional
impressed.
this morning.
I'm really impressed. That was good restraint, Nick.
Boy, Nick's growing up.
Yeah,
He's becoming a big boy.
Later today, I'll
All
send
right.
text.
So we're just going to talk about, when we're marketing, we have messages. And so we're going to go through some of the questions that I ask myself and the questions that I'm considering when I'm putting together my marketing materials and the content that goes into it. So the first thing is what are you trying to message? Like, what is it that you're really, really trying to get out, and who are you messaging to? I think this is where we just put stuff out there, and really don't give a lot of consideration about who is my target audience in this. I think it's one of the things that we can face challenges when we just blindly accept what our title companies give us, what our lenders give us, because just because somebody can put together a flyer and knows how to do graphic art
yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that they know marketing and they know messaging. So so everything that goes out for me is like, who am I trying to reach? Who is the target audience in this? Who am I intending to reach with this specific message? And what are they like? What is that person? We do the whole persona, putting together personas and that entire activity. And what are they like? What are their concerns? Because part of what we're trying to do is we're trying to solve problems here, right? And we need to know what's that average person that I'm connecting with. And I have different audiences. Whether I'm trying to reach my guys at Luke Air Force Base, they're a whole different breed,
right.
as opposed to I'm just trying to dominate my neighborhood or I'm posting something on Facebook. So what are the things that they are concerned about? What are their pain points, and what are their needs? And I was thinking I haven't done this yet, but we talk a lot about doing personas, and I have a whole persona activity that I have put together. But I'm telling you what, type that into ChatGPT and
Strap yourself in. Get ready for the ride.
yeah, because this is going to give a lot of great information.
Yeah, I think we always say begin with the end in mind, and we're not sometimes sure really how we use that term in a lot of different areas, specifically in marketing, as we're talking about today. But if you put a piece out, say you're contemplating a piece and you're going to put it out. Well, what would you like to have happen? What's the outcome? Would you like to have people call you, email you, go to your website, go to your, click on your QR code? What's the objective? Hopefully you have a call to action in everything you're sending out. But the fact is that, you have to think about that. What do I want to have happen? And then work your way backwards. Well, of those people that I want to have that happen, who are they? Are they first-time home buyers? Is that the message I'm sending? Is it multi-million-dollar people? Is it niche market people for new home sales or some other particular resort community? So who, why, where, all of those, who, what, why, and where. But again, you go through that and then you think about those things and then you get a little closer. Okay, what are they going through right now? What's maybe their pain points? What maybe is their objection?
Yeah.
What could I say or do that might get them engaged into the information I'm talking about? So you work it all the way back.
One of the major concerns that we're facing right now is interest. I like to put this into perspective just in my conversations with people. So if I'm getting into a real estate conversation with someone, I know that interest rates are a pain point for them, and it's a concern. So I'm gonna bring it up before they bring it up and talk about rates and talk about why I think the higher, I always say this to people. I tell people, I go, higher the interest rate, the better for you. And they're like, what are you talking about? And boom. Now we're running.
Having a real.
But again, I think that goes to who you're trying to message. If you're working with cash buyers, interest rates aren't necessarily going to impact them. So I think, what Todd said is what is your action goal, your action desire? Is it a click to a website? Is it a text message, a phone call, a response to an email, a follow on a podcast? And then who are you trying to follow that action with?
Yeah.
And where are they? Are they going to read a text? Are they going to read an email? Are they going to pick up a phone? Are they going to be on Instagram? Are they on TikTok? Are they on Facebook? Where do they live inside of this marketing scheme that you're putting together? As those questions that are being asked,
Paramount.
you have to be intentional in everything that you're doing, or you're literally just throwing a snowball into the blind. You don't know where this marketing is going if you don't ask questions. Sending an email flyer out and hoping that you're going to get to your demographic of buyer or seller, that's a lot of praying.
Yeah, and then I would just challenge people, go back to some of the most recent marketing pieces that have gone out, and you're going to look at it and go, huh, I don't know who I was trying to reach on this, right? Sure. And like I said, we all have different audiences, so it just depends on what you're doing.
That's the other big part. What is your audience?
Yep.
Who are you catering to with your real estate business? And if you're new in real estate, you don't really necessarily know, look inwardly. Who are your sphere of influence? Who are your friends, your family members? Start there. If you've been in real estate for a long time and you haven't taken a step back to look where your sales are coming from, that's the answer to that question is who's my demographic?
Or other retailers, other consumers, other businesses, totally outside of real estate. What are they doing to attract the particular demographic you're trying to go after?
Correct.
There's a lot of clues there, too. Yep.
And I think a great example of it is if I'm doing an open house in Maryville, and I've got this flyer that the title company's created for me, and it may work. But then if you take that same flyer and market an open house up in Troon,
Absolutely.
it's
Well, and that's
There's your sign,
just
right?
real quickly, last on that. So with the mobile app that West USA offers to agents, you
look
can
at you.
see where the activity of searches are happening, and it's a constant conversation. I've got these buyers that they told me they want to live in Santan Valley, but they're only looking in Tempe. So you get that insight into what your demo is looking at.
All right, number 2, what problems are you offering solutions for? And so that kind of goes back to, what are their concerns? Correct. I mean, people are trying to figure out where do they want to live? How do I buy a home? How do I see a home? I've read all of these things all summer long about NAR and most people, I think it's 80+% of people start their home search online. And whether it's Zillow or whatever the case is. But you would be surprised. A lot of people don't know how to buy a home. Yeah. And how do I see this home? How do I get into this home? And it's not only how do I find an agent, how do I find a good agent? How do I find the right agent? And a lot of times they don't even know what that means. I love that. We always throw out, I hear agents with consumers and say, yeah, or I see their flyers or their open house flyers. Hey, contact me today for a free CMA. And I'm like, that person doesn't know what a CMA is, right?
Yep.
And can I trust an agent? And then I think a lot of people are wondering and asking, and I think as AI continues to aggressively progress, I think people in the back of their mind are wondering and questioning, can I do it alone? Now, sellers think so a lot of times because we see for sale by owners. And then we often see that the average seller who sells their home by themselves, the house will be on the market for longer and oftentimes leave thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars on the table. Buyers, I think it's a lot more complicated to do it on your own, but they're wondering and they think because if you don't know what you don't know, and so if a buyer doesn't know what they don't know going into the buying process, they think they can do it alone. And then when they get into it, and so as you're considering your messaging and you're considering your marketing, these are some of the solutions. Like for us, we created this 27 questions that unrepresented buyers should ask. And it's got some nice graphics and so forth. And we market that and we throw that out there so buyers read it and go, huh, I didn't know about that. And I didn't consider that. And I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that old TV show where that guy was buying businesses or buying into businesses, and he said things always run down to 3 things: people, products, and processes. And to be honest with you, if you look at what we're talking about today, you could start just in those basic three categories and then drill down into each one of those. Again, it's kind of what we've been talking about. So the messages are really blending together today between the questions. But again, I think ultimately, is the message the right thing? What am I trying to do? What do I want them to click on? I mean, even going to an open house, if you don't have that, like Matt's flyer, that little thing he had in the corner with the interest rates and how much it would be at a different price range, you put that there, but maybe in this particular case, you don't put his QR code, you put the QR code for your web app. And so somebody comes up and they think they want a screenshot for lending, and they're downloading your web app. I know that might be a little, not really deceitful, but it's not going to the lender. But you want to control that, and then you want to introduce them to Matt, and and go from that perspective. But what was your whole purpose for holding an open house? To get names of people that might be interested in real estate. So everything in that open house ought to be doing exactly that.
Yeah, Nick, we always use the phrase around here, been using it for years, storify your pitch.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And like I think for an example of this, I'm not a big fan of taking my clients and putting them in front of the house and taking a picture of them.
Did you just steal my thought out of my brain? I'm
then
literally going to say the same thing.
Go for it.
Well, the problem that you're solving for can be marketed by using the story of your clients. Those that just closed, the just sold picture on social media that agents love to do, how is that marketing your business? What is that telling everybody? You sold a home that week? Congratulations. That's your job. If you take the buyers, and I hate putting
my guy at Subway doesn't take a picture of
rock
my
this up.
BMT.
But I don't love putting the clients in front of the home, but you could still storify them. I'm really proud to announce that we were able to close on this transaction. I had a first-time husband and wife. They're due in October. We were able to get the deal done in X amount of time. We were able to save them this amount of money. You're solving problems. You're making a marketing scheme. You're storifying. You're checking all the boxes you should be checking as a marketer. And again, take a step back. Why are you posting just sold? What is that doing for your real estate business? What is the intention there? But you got to tell a story. A picture doesn't tell that story. And all of this here, the where do I want to live? How do I? If people in 2025 are Googling who should I use to help me buy or sell my home, we've already lost that person to work with us. We should be working and marketing ourselves daily so that when one of our friends says, yeah, I'm looking at maybe getting out of renting and maybe buying, or it's time to upgrade or downgrade, the first thing that our friends are saying is, well, Mike is my agent. He's been a trusted resource for my business, for my family for years. He's who you should be working at. That's what the problem you're offering to solve.
All right, third one. What is your messaging about? So this is my favorite one. Is your messaging about you, or is your messaging about them? No one cares. Honestly, they don't care that you're a neighborhood specialist. They don't care that you won an award last week. They don't care that you're a top selling agent or whatever the case is, which oftentimes our marketing, we make it about us. Mm-hmm. Look at me. This is how great I am. As opposed to making about them and their problems. That's what people want to hear. And then we don't need to go through all of these, but towards the end of this is kind of what you guys were hitting on. Point number one: what do you want them to know and say about you, and what do you want them to do? You got to know what you want them to do. If I'm putting like, for instance, going back to real estate conversations, I know in my mind. What I want them to do is I want them to give me their name and phone number, and I want them to set an appointment with me. This is where every single real estate conversation goes in my mind. Now, I'm not always successful at it, but that is the intent. And so if I know that I'm sitting in front, if I go to an event, we had a party Saturday night at our house, and so there was a guy there I wanted to meet because he invests a lot, and I knew. Before he even showed up, I was going to have a conversation with him, and I knew what I wanted him to do at the end of that conversation, and that's how all marketing should be.
It really should, and I think that we've been talking about this. I had something that I wanted to bring up when you were talking, but I got so entrapped in what you were saying that I lost my own thought. But
It happens.
It does. I know it's a wonderful thing. But I think ultimately here it's about conveying that particular message, creating relationships. We don't always have to let the world know that we're a real estate agent. Don't need to let everybody in the United States know. And this is what I think we need to do now that we're on internet and social. But really, what you need to know is how many people do I have to contact this year to hit the number of units I want to sell, which is, I think, why the coaching program exists. But if you can figure that number out, then it really helps you focus. This is great, but we're not trying to be Coca-Cola. Maybe we're going to be more like IBC root beer, which is by the grapevine only, and that's why they get $8 for 4 bottles of root beer versus selling a 24-pack for $9. So again, what do you want to be? Who do you want to be known as? What image, what persona are you trying to share with the consumer to lure them? What movie are you playing to lure them to want to call you?
And I would 100% agree. People don't care, but they don't care until they care. And so you need to be a balanced of why you're sending the message out. And I think it should be a little bit about you and a little bit about them, because people want to work with human beings. So if you are going to message something, or you're going to post something or show something about being a real person, that's 100%. But you also want to make sure that you are focusing on those that you're helping, because then it shows that you are able to help solve the problem. All of that being wrapped into intentional marketing.
Yeah, and I would say, yeah, should it be about you as well? Absolutely, but it's about how I am helping solve other people's
right.
problems, not that I've sold X amount of homes
100%.
and whatever the case
No,
is.
but I think splashing in a little bit about yourself. Hey,
Yeah.
we went to the park this weekend, or we went and did this hike, or I ate 17 McRibs in the last week and a half. People find that endearing, and they like to follow people that are real.
Yeah.
every time I drive by McDonald's, I still look at the windows.
You get real sad about it.
And I just like, my family just gets so tired of it. I go, what if we drove by that McDonald's
Longing.
and it said McRibs?
McRibs. I know, buddy.
They know. Dad would be eating 5. All right, guys,
Can you
appreciate
freeze
it.
McRibs?
No.